Hello and welcome to Estuary TV News with me, James Dunn. In tonight's show, we discuss the job market for young people with our guest from Job Centre North East Lincolnshire.
And join me, Dan Kemp, with all the sport.
But first, here's Richard Morris with the news headlines.
Hello, in the headlines today, unemployment outlooks may be getting brighter and health checks are being offered by East Riding Council. More than 38,000 young people in Yorkshire and the Humber have taken part in work experience and placement schemes through the Job Centre, and Employment Minister Esther McVey is advising more people to take advantage of the scheme as a gateway to a future career. Liz Hutchinson, Operations Manager of Job Centre in North East Lincolnshire, said it shows young people can take control of their own futures.
Yeah, I think they can. I think they just have to be vigilant, they have to keep looking, not necessarily within the Job Centre. There are lots of mediums out there, social networking, lots of jobs that never come our way. They've just got to keep going to find the opportunity that's right for them.
More on that later in tonight's news. The Royal Anglian Regiment received their new colours from His Royal Highness the Duke of Gloucester over the weekend. The Royal Anglian Regiment was formed on the 1st of September 1964 from 8 regiments from the previous counties. The last new colours were presented in 1995, and since then the Royal Anglian Regimental Museum and the Regimental Memorial have been established at Duxford in Cambridgeshire, where the new colours were awarded. Marfleet Environmental Technology Park in Hull is nearing completion, and it looks like it'll bring 200 jobs to the area on the site of the former Humbrol factory off Heddon Road. The site has been designated as an enterprise zone, which means that businesses locating to the area will receive financial incentives. The park has already become home to some of Hull's largest companies, including Middlegate Shipping and Neil & Brown Global Logistics, along with a number of smaller local businesses. Hull City Council is already looking into its next investment, which will also be on Heddon Road, the former Hull Maternity Hospital. The site will be called Kingston Parklands. A new road layout has been put in force outside the Town Hall in Grimsby. Now, drivers travelling from the pedestrian crossing towards the Town Hall on Osborne Street towards East Street will no longer have to give way to the traffic coming from the bus station. Traffic from the bus shelters must now give way to road users on Osborne Street. It has been reported that while drivers are hesitant at the new junction, the new layout has been met with praise from road users familiar with the area. A major fire started in the early hours of yesterday morning on Louth's Fairfield Industrial Estate. The blaze started at 4 a.m. on Monday morning and was an intense blaze, requiring 6 fire engines, 2 hydraulic platforms and 4 sets of breathing apparatus, and required crews from Humberside and faraway places like Skegness. The blaze was at a warehouse owned by GBM Waste Management UK and was used as an office and a cardboard recycling plant. It is not yet known how much of the total cost will be damages, but there is extensive damage to the roof and side walls of the building, clearly visible on the outside. Households in Lincolnshire are being encouraged once again to switch their energy supply for cheaper bills. The new Lincolnshire Energy Switch scheme launches today and is organised by 7 local councils in the area and community links. The scheme works by households registering and then having the energy suppliers compete for their best offers. There is no obligation to take up the winning supplier's offer. Households now have up to 5 weeks to apply for the scheme. Last time, the average saving was £234. East Riding Council are offering health checks at leisure centres and pharmacies in an attempt to get older people who don't like going to the doctors to re-engage with the health service. Free health checks every 5 years to people who are 40 to 74 years old is a national policy which aims to identify people at risk of common conditions such as diabetes and heart disease and adjust their lifestyles accordingly. The health checks are usually administered in GP surgeries, but in the East Riding they have made an effort to also offer them outside of a clinical setting to involve those who don't often visit a GP.
I think many people aged 40 to 74 perhaps haven't been to see their doctor for a while. Particularly we find this with men who are perhaps less keen to seek advice and seek help. And the health checks can identify risks, which give the opportunity for people to go back to see the health service and get problems sorted out, which may be identified by the health check, or maybe something completely different they've been worried about, and that gives them the opportunity to go and get things checked out.
That's all from me. We'll be back with more news soon.
Thank you, Richard. Now, as you've just heard, the government is boasting about the number of young people taking advantage of work experience and placements through the Job Centre. It's more than 260,000 nationally and 38,000 in this region alone. But will it help them into paid work, or is it just free labour for employers? Today I'm speaking to Liz Hutchinson, Operations Manager from Job Centre North East Lincolnshire, about what this means for young people. So, Liz, what do you think these figures show? Is this positive news?
Yeah, I think it does show that there are opportunities out there for young people, and I think that's really encouraging for people who are leaving school, graduates. We hear a lot of talk in the media that there aren't any jobs, when in actual fact there are jobs. Many of them not within the job centre, but in other mediums. If people keep looking, they can secure opportunities, and often with training.
And what sort of opportunities are out there for young people who are struggling to find work at the moment?
It could be a variety of things. It could be things like sector-based work academies, which offer young people a short burst of training. It could be something like work experience, where somebody's getting a taste of the world of work. It could be with a college. It could be with a training provider. It could be something online, where they are undertaking their own training and they've sought their own training requirements out.
So obviously you're willing to help, but interestingly what you seem to be saying is that the Job Centre isn't the only option for young people.
Absolutely not. As I say, social media, people on Twitter, LinkedIn. I think young people more than ever need to think, am I digitally able to look for work? If the answer to that is no, if they come through to the job centre, we will try to ensure from a very early time that they are able to compete in the modern job market.
So work experience is useful for everyone, but why is it particularly useful for young people?
I think, if you think back to when you first came out of school, you know about education. What we're looking for is that all that learning and those skills that they've built so far transfer into a job. And so for somebody to be able to get a little taster of what they will be doing when they get into work is important. And we need to make sure that young people are being equipped for what our employers in the area need.
But it's a common catch-22, isn't it, that employers want people who are ready for employment, experienced people, yet young people can't get experience for that very reason. Is a free placement the answer?
Well, for someone who is, we'll say, just coming out of school, they haven't got into that routine necessarily of understanding fully the responsibilities, of getting up and not being late. Just some of those really basic things that employers are looking for. Reliability, what do they do when they're not very well, those sorts of things. So a work experience opportunity can provide that. It is a chance for not only the young person to show what they're capable of, but also the employer to look at what they're getting in that young person. So it's a two-way thing that is agreed up front at the start, how long that will last. And many of our opportunities turn into a permanent job for that young person.
Now, last year there was a high-profile case of an unemployed graduate who was forced to do work experience at Poundland for free. Is there not a risk that unscrupulous employers could use this as an opportunity to get free labour where there's no benefit to the actual claimant?
Yeah, I would agree with that. What we would be doing in the job centre is trying to ensure that isn't allowed to happen. As I say, we would up front agree with the employer and the young person how long that will last. So there is an expectation from the young person's point of view, and we would make sure that that happens.
But are there also instances in which someone could be forced to work at somewhere like Poundland, for example, and that could actually be advantageous to them?
Yeah, I would say that, you know, that would be an opportunity if somebody, as I say, has never had a work on their CV, that they would be able to you know, try that employer out and hopefully show what they would be capable of doing. I think it's back to those transferable skills. They may not be aware of some of the things that they've learned and how they would operate from a practical point of view. But yeah, I think it's, you know, as you've said already, many jobs are looking for experience. So, you know, just to sort of get a foot in the door, I think it's a really valuable thing for people.
And finally, for young people out there who really are struggling to find work at the moment, what's your advice for them?
I would just say keep positive. There are opportunities out there. You know, you've quoted 38,000. I would just say anybody coming through our door, we will look individually with that person at what is the right journey, what may be the options for them, and just really stick at it. Remember the digital. You know, if you think you are lacking from a digital point of view, you're not aware of some of the social media, some of those skills, then talk to us about that and we will try and help you, either ourselves or the vast amount of providers that we work with.
Thanks, Liz. I'm sure that'll be useful advice to a lot of people. Now, from that, I'm afraid we've got a very sad story next on the news. It's the story of Dan Kemp, our Hull City fan and sports reporter, who went all the way to Aston Villa at the weekend.
I did. It was the worst first half display I've seen, probably under Steve Bruce during his time in charge.
And how long did it take you to get there?
Probably 2.5 hours with a few stops.
Wow. Well,
yeah, thanks for that. It's been another busy weekend of footballing action for our local sides. Hull City suffered their first Premier League defeat of the season, going down by 2-1 away against Aston Villa on Sunday. Nikita Jelavic with a goal in that one. Hakeem Delican and Gary McSheffrey both netted for Scunthorpe United, who beat Walsall at Glanford Park on Saturday. Both goals came within a 3-minute period early in the second half, meaning the Iron now have got their first win of the League One season. A Brett Williams brace stalled Grimsby Town's recent upturn in form as they went down 2-1 at Aldershot. Lionel John Lewis was sent off in the first half, which meant the Mariners faced an uphill battle from then on in. Scott Nielsen struck a consolation well-hit volley 13 minutes from time. North Ferriby United lost 2-1 at Worcester City to end their unbeaten start to the Conference North campaign. They now drop to second in the division. Luke Campbell has announced his latest fight, which will see him return to the ring in his home city. The Hull man will fight Daniel Brizuela on October the 25th at the Hull Ice Arena. The Argentine Brizuela almost shocked Tommy Coyle in the last fight night in the city, and Coyle will now fight Michael Katsidis to retain his IBF international title.
Yeah, definitely. It's a fight. It's the first fight I'm truly excited about. You know, I know what the kids got. You know, what a great fight Tommy and Brizuela was, and looking at them type of fights, you know, it got everybody excited. I want to be in them type of fights and come out victorious as well. And I'm excited to show everybody what I'm capable of come October 25th.
The Scunthorpe Scorpions are now another 3 points towards qualification for the end of season playoffs. They beat the Workington Comets by 53 points to 37. Finally, the Rapid Solicitors Hull Stingrays defenceman Tom Ralph is hoping to prove himself worthy of a regular shift in this year's Elite League campaign. The local lad is only 20 and went through the development system at the Hull Arena. He scored his first goal as a professional in the side's 6-3 defeat at the Peterborough Phantoms on Saturday. Ralph said, "It's always nice to get your first goal out of the way." The two sides play a return match in Hull tomorrow night with a 7 p.m. face-off. And that's all for the sport. Back to you.
I'm afraid that's actually all we've got time for on the show in general. Don't forget that if you've got any stories you'd like to share with us, you can get in touch by calling us on Grimsby 315 561. Find us on Facebook or Twitter, or you can email us on info@estuary.tv. That's all for now, but we'll be back tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.